This is a little bit of a live update for a video that we posted on the Instagram channel that also hit Facebook that kind of pertains to like the part of the Genesis story that we're starting on the YouTube channel. And it goes along the lines of like how we had in the beginning, God was over his workstation, or the waters of, and he was beginning to work on his creation, and somebody who we were beginning to assume was either the husband or wife, so the roles may have been switched one way or the other, and said, "Let there be light," and the other one was like, "Oh, the light is good, I can see." And we were taking a look at a review of 4 words that God spoke to the creations that were created, thusly afterwards, or during this point in time. And it is the be fruitful and multiply, or be fruitful and increase. And so, like, we went with the imagery of the Creator attaching the male parts to the man and saying, "Be fruitful," based on the principles of the concepts behind the vast imagery that one could try and develop around the word fruitful, and the fact that it was be fruitful and multiply, as if it were 2 denotated orders of outcome. So, and going with the traditional sense that only 2 entities were created, onto which we are going to, as we continue to create our own elaborated story, we may or may not follow that traditional 2-entity story, and may go with a story more based on the line of Adam's being male, like as in the male species or male of the species, and the Eves being the females, and the other order of the order multiply being relatively potentially more violent, because there is now a cascading hole for the multiply part and the parts that were put into that. So either way, both parts still have a hole in them, because the fruit's going to come out one tube, and either way. So we did do some defining on the words fruitful, multiply. Why or why not? Why or why not they may have been applied in the fashion that they were, and translated thusly in the fashion that they were. Because if a double entendre, I think is that word, or like we'll call it a double hit, right? If there does not seem to be a need at that era of time for such a double hit. So we thinking most logically that multiply or be fruitful or increase alone would have been good enough of an instruction to give to these individuals to continue on the procreation matters. But to state be fruitful and multiply, we wanted to figure out why essentially using the exact same word twice, like saying go go, do do, poo poo, like A poo is a poo is a poo. Why I need to say poo poo? So, we took that into consideration with coming up with our invigorative mental health projections as to why we do this. Because, again, it can create cascades of new, imaginative, thought-provoking processes, which may or may not be true in any way, but, be fruitful and multiply. So we had to kind of come figure out, maybe it was the installation of parts into these individuals as they was being finalized when their light was shed on. So, there we go. We are going to take a quick moment while we are live to see if this video is in fact actually operating as we would like. That would be awesome, would it not? Oh, that would be so awesome. So, let's see here. Do we like Streamlabs for our thing? Oh, so awesome. So, let's see here. Do we like Streamlabs for our thing? I think we're finally starting to figure some of this shit out. And all these evolutions are all captured in YouTube. So, like, a year from now, if I'm still doing this, I'll look back and just be like, look at this, it's catching up right now. Alright, so now that, okay, hold on, we gotta pause this. So, maybe we'll just mute it. Alright, oh yeah, so when I get the really cool camera, I got this really fancy Bolton microphone to go with it. Looks like a turbine motor. So, because, not all of these readings and stories are just going to be about this. There are going to be episodes, where I will actually do my best to do my reading of the Bible the best justice that I can do. And again, each time when I read it, it's going to be different each time as well. So, not only are we going to be going through the independent live videos that will be created, as well as getting back into doing some of the recorded ones. The equipment that I want for the recorded ones is it's going to take a little bit longer, so that I can create these recorded stories that I want to be in the fashion that I want to present them. And ideally, mobily, I use iProducts, so iPhone, iTunes, iMovie. When it comes to things like desktop and laptop, I'm a little bit more prone to non-iProducts. But, it's just because of last few years of my life. So, not to say that it will always be that way, but, we're live again. So it won't take us so many hours to get messages out. We can get a quick message out. We could do a quick, interesting little story or review of Be Fruitful and Multiply, and we could do it on the spot. We could do little things like this. We won't have so much of the cool iMovie videos that we're creating with the split screen at the moment. We'll be getting back to that. I'd like to be able to learn how to do that. I'd like to be able to learn how to do some split screen live stuff, so that we could just be like really together doing this on the spot, like, punch it up, have like a bit of text on the side screen so that you can catch up to doing some reading real quick if you don't have a book available, you know what I mean, and so that you don't have to like exit in and out of the YouTube video. So if we can get some split screen stuff done, and we could be talking about something, and then you can look at it so that you've looked at what we're talking about, or even be able to figure out how to put it down here or here, somewhere, even while doing live. That would be cool. We're not going to try and jump too far ahead though, so we will focus on still creating videos, Right now, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to be releasing it, but there is going to be a release of a review of the Shadow Emperor, and how I think that I, as somebody who is not, man, Jesus Christ is my brother, but I just don't believe in the way you all present Christianity these days, man. I mean, you know, whether he live or dead, like, he rolling the fuck over. Like, seriously. So, like, if your cause was to do what you was trying to do with this book and using Constantine the Great to help present it, man, you sorely failed, and I'm going to show you how and why. Because anybody that's got 2 cents of spit between their ears and brains, they're going to tell you that you was trying to pull an old Walla hook maneuver, and it just didn't work well by the time you ended your book. And what was it, like 120 something pages, I think. So, you know, if you're going to try and present something about my brother Jesus Christ, like, you ought to do yourself some justice and do a little better. So that review will still be coming out. I've talked about it a bunch, but like I said, if I'm going to do a review on 120 pages, my review is going to be at least 20 pages worth of reading. So I am going to attack you quite a bit, and I'm going to attack the processes of which you use, which are going to piss off fellow brothers and sisters of mine. But, you know, the bodies that be decided that the way you presented this was just like, man, you could have done so much more justice to your cause, son. So, anyways, that's my video on it. I like scripture. I like a lot of it. I'm not denominational in any one way or another. And I think if you really give the book a good review, you understand that, like, in my opinion, like, a lot of churches just aren't used the way they're supposed to be these days. The world's in crisis, and you see them all closed to everyone. In essence, like, there are few churches still running, few churches still out there helping people, but like these ones that got like buku bucks and tons of room that could be doing something with it, they just look like they locked up and shined up and left on the shelf on an elf for a later date when all the bullshit drama's over again, and they'll open the gates. And I'm like, wait a second, ain't you supposed to be like using this to give back to the people? But you seem to be like, I don't know, Pharisee style right now, and I know I should be going, stop talking, But, you know, I mean, I was living on the streets, and like the communities and church people and the Christians and the Mormons and all that was helping me, like, they's like they different, like they out in the streets doing shit, helping. Why, like a lot of others, you got like, they're like the fucking British Guard there, thou shalt not pass, and it's like, whoa. So anyways, yeah, that's my asshole maneuver for the night. YouTube's working. I can check it out. I'm like, oh, don't piss too many people off. You know, the next one after we get done with this here Shadow Emperor one, which is supposed to be like, you know, a brief historical thing and like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I really do hope that you all pick up I mean, you know, it's 120 pages. Most people can read this in the blink of an eye. I mean, I literally took like a week to read it. I'm still reading it because I'm writing a review on it. So like I've read this thing over and over. As I'm writing my review, I'm reviewing it page by page again. I'm bringing out my notes. I'm bringing out my googlies if I need to. I'm bringing out my good old book, since there's so many points of reference to the good old book, right? And that's where I'm stepping out of the shadow with it, because in this book, okay, now this could be another asshole move, and I'm doing this live, right? I'm doing this live on YouTube. So like, you're either gonna get it while you get it, or you're probably not gonna look at it because, well, you don't look at post live stuff, right? Especially something that's like, I don't know, probably 20 minutes into it right now. So that's okay. In the Shadow Emperor, okay, in the Shadow Emperor, there's an apostle that is mentioned, and his name is Apostle Paul. Okay. Now, I don't know if you know much about Apostle Paul. So, you know, this will be a footnote at the end of this live video here, because I want you to do some homework on reading the Shadow Emperor, on Apostle Paul, because Apostle Paul is a man that was a Pharisee, born of Pharisees, and was a Pharisee in operation, crucifying Christians by the hundreds and thousands, like, was totally cool with turning them into nightlights, as they called them in those times, which meant to put them on a cross and light them on fire. He was also part of the Pharisees that were the council responsible for Jesus' crucifixion. So this individual had a hand in the matters of Jesus' crucifixion. And 4 to 7 years after Jesus' crucifixion, he decides that he now, through vision of the resurrected Christ, so this was either while asleep or awake, not entirely sure, while walking or standing still, sitting, snoring, not entirely sure on that part either, was told at the behest of Jesus Christ of Nazareth to become an apostle, and that his apostleship and authority was thusly given to him upon this vision, during this vision, and that when confronted on these matters, it was very important that he expressed that his power and authority was only given to him during a vision of the resurrected Jesus Christ. And so one of the things that I consider about that is strategically one of the greatest Hail Mary Trojan maneuvers when gaining what is that word called? Just a second here. Oh my gosh. Refuge, excuse me, among your enemy. Okay? Now, at this point in time, 4 to 7 years after the crucifixion of Christ, Christians were killing each other. Christians were now killing Pharisees. They were killing, everybody was killing each other, right? Except for the Roman Empire and those that are under the empire, such as Pontius Pilate and stuff, were actually living relatively great lives. So there is a little bit of history one might want to do, you know, when like presenting characters biblically on behalf of certain things, because there is a notation in here about how something that Paul said is the proving of his words of Christianity, and it has to deal with, Paul said 10 days of persecution, and you know, like 300 years later, this 10-year long war also was going on of their persecution in Rome. And then, you know, like 1,700 years later, now, when this book is written, the Shadow Emperor is written, they state as acceptance, I guess, amongst the masses, right? Because their leaders who teach these teachings have said that the 10 days of persecution depicted by the Pharisee apostle Paul, responsible for Jesus Christ's crucifixion amongst the Sanhedrin, actually meant the 10-year-long persecution war that the Christians were still undergoing while killing one another and being killed by the Roman legion and others amongst this ununified belief. So, yeah, there, you know, when I'm going to write a review about something, I want to do my homework, you know, and so I, at this point, you know, have to ask question about various other time frames that are notated throughout the Bible by Paul or by others, and when doing so, some timelines become really askew. Like the fact that if 10 days equals 10 years, then 40 years equals 7,000 some odd. Oh, fuck, I can't remember how the math went. But it was a lot of years in the desert versus 7 days creation equaling 70. So there's that to present too. But we're not going to argue those facts right now. We are just test driving to see if we like Streamlabs, and it looks like we are going to.
10 days of persecution depicted by the Pharisee apostle Paul, responsible for Jesus Christ's crucifixion amongst the Sanhedrin, actually meant the 10-year-long persecution war that the Christians were still undergoing while killing one another and being killed by the Roman legion and others amongst this ununified belief. So, yeah, when I'm going to write a review about something, I want to do my homework, you know? And so, have to ask questions.
This is something all new for me. It's not bad.
Various other time frames that are notated throughout the Bible by Paul or by others, and when doing so, some timelines become really askew, like the fact that if 10 days equals 10 years,
I like this thing.
then 40 years equals 7,000.
I wonder if my voice will sound as cool when I really like put into this, because like there's times there's certain characters I would like to be.
7 days creation equaling 70. So
This is pretty
there's
cool.
that to present too.
So we're at 22 minutes,
We're not
47
gonna argue
seconds.
those facts
So
right
we're going to
now.
record to 25.
We are just test driving to see if
And,
we like Streamlabs, and it looks
If at 25 I still like it, then we're going to go with it, okay? So anybody who's decided to stay at the end, anyone who watched till the end will get a gift of my choosing. Ha. For being so cool to do that. Okay, so Santons who watched till the end. Alright. Okay, so my dog is now mad at me. We have 1 minute in counting. Oh my god. See this silver right there, and the super blonde is not, I mean, it just makes it pretty dope that there's hair right there. It's interesting. Alright, 15 seconds. And then